It's me, Javine. Welcome to this week's Sub Saturdays, ladies and gentlemen. This week I want to talk about Resident Evil 2 because at the time of making this video, last night I platinumed it. I got every single trophy in the game, and it was a challenging one. It was one that took many different playthroughs over and over, and hardcore, and Claire A, and Claire B, and Leon A, and Leon B. And the frugalist playthrough where you don't open the item box, and then also the non-healing playthrough. I may be getting those confused, where you don't use any healing items, and then a playthrough where you have to beat it in less than 14,000 steps. The point is, I have played this game a lot, and I want to talk about it. Right off the bat, with last week's blue hair reveal, got a lot of polarizing comments. Most people liked it, and that made me feel good. Some people said it just didn't fit me or they didn't like it, and that's cool too. I'm fine with that. Some people were extremely rude and said very mean things, and they have gone bye-bye. I hope it was worth it. There's a way to criticize it without coming off like a complete jerk, but I still dig it. Like I said, at this point in time, after X amount of time has passed, I really dig it. My roots are starting to come through. This is the first time I've ever dyed my hair, so now I know what women talk about when they talk about their roots are showing. I get it now, because my roots are starting to come out. You can see the brown at the bottom of it just barely. And also, it is fading a bit. I have already bought, in fact, it's right here. This is what I've used, the Manic Panic After Midnight dye. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reapply, I think like half of this jar, let it sit for 2 to 3 hours and wash it all out, and then hopefully it'll be this, but even darker. So I'm really digging it. I just like the look of it, and yeah, I think I'm going to stick with it. And exactly like this too with the brown. In addition, been getting a lot of comments about GV, how's your weight loss going? How's your, your nutrition going? Everything like that. Good. At this time, me making this video, I am at my lowest weight since the start of January 1st. Last week, I only lost 0.8 pounds at the time of this video, but I weigh myself every Friday. I'm making this video before Friday, which when you're watching this would have been yesterday. I'm making this video before then. So hopefully when I weigh myself then, I will have lost another 2 to 3 pounds ideally, or even more, because last week was low, but that usually means the next week's gonna be high in terms of weight loss. So everything's going good. I'm still sticking with it. I still have tons more energy than I used to. And yeah, I have not broken any rule that I set for myself since the start of the year. Now let's talk about Resident Evil 2, and of course I'm talking about the remake, the remake for the 1998 game that I never played. If you caught me playing a horror game as a child, it must have been some light-ass horror game, because I would not go anywhere near anything remotely related to horror. In fact, I have a very vivid memory of being over at a friend's house, them loading up Resident Evil 0, which I think they borrowed from somebody on their GameCube, and everybody, like the whole group of little kids, was scared to death, including me, of like the first Leech Man. I didn't go nowhere near horror. However, now in this day and age, I understand that a lot of horror games can be amazing, including this one. And so with Twitch and me knowing that me playing horror games really goes over well usually, just because horror and Twitch go together so well, I've really gotten into the horror genre, and I actually have beaten a ton of them over on Twitch. A lot of people ask me about Outlast and Soma and Visage, which we just did. What are some others? I don't know. I feel like I've played every good horror game at this point over on Twitch. So anyways, I wanted to get into Resident Evil 2 because it was a big new game from Capcom. It was Capcom. It was a big new horror game, and it just looked really good after playing the demo. So what are my thoughts on it? Let's go through each major facet of a video game, in my opinion, starting with the graphics. This game is gorgeous. I loved every single thing about how this game looked, from the opening cutscene with that burger. Even though the burger looked really weird, it still looked amazing, to that big dude from Home Improvement looking guy with the beard. The facial models were astounding. The zombies look so good. My one gripe is that there's so few zombie models that you see the same exact. Feels like there's only 5 zombie models that you see over and over again, but they look incredible. The detail on them is crazy. crazy. The detail when you shoot them in the head and blood spurts out is crazy. Everything about, you know, getting a little keyboard key to put on the safety, to put in the safety deposit room, and just the animations, how the key looks, how you have to look at items, examine them, press a button, open that up, grab the thing, combine it with another thing. Everything looks amazing. I love this game. The look of it was so cool and so good and so perfect. The RE engine, which I believe they did use for Resident Evil 7, which I also 100%ed. You know, it's beautiful. Everything from the rain to the lighting. I don't know. This game just looked perfect in my opinion. They really made like a police station slash sewers, and I won't spoil anything else. That just looked good in every way, in my opinion. I was floored. Story. Resident Evil and story goes together like peanut butter and something that doesn't go together with peanut butter, at least in my experience. Now, Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 2, the remake, have really turned that around, in my opinion. Look, I know everybody loves the over-the-top cheesiness of the previous Resident Evil games. I just recently beat RE4 for the first time on Twitch, and it was over-the-top cheese. Cheese coming out of Leon's ears and mainly out of his mouth in terms of his one-liners. I don't dig that because it kind of removes me from the atmosphere which I want to be a part of, i.e. horror. I don't get as scared or as immersed in that if the story is over-the-top cheesy, the vocal lines are over-the-top cheesy, the voice acting is silly. I don't really dig that. I know people do, but I don't. So the fact that RE2 is much more serious, the remake, and RE7 for that matter, than those previous games, I really digged it. I don't think the story is groundbreaking in any way. It's pretty cut and dry, I think, for a game like this. But I gotta say, I think they did it the best that they could, while keeping things about the Resident Evil universe still present. You know, it wasn't groundbreaking or anything, but it was good, it was solid, and yeah, I enjoyed it. And finally, the big one, gameplay, of course. Again, perfect. Perfect. I mean, there's so few little tiny criticisms that I could give about this game that are so irrelevant. It doesn't even matter. I'm not even going to say them because they nailed everything about this game, in my opinion. I've never played the original 1998 version, so that should tell you something too. I'm not even operating on nostalgia. I'm operating on just doing everything in the game, pretty much, and, you know, talking about that experience. And the gameplay is obviously the core of it. Everything from shooting zombies to like they're in their kneecaps and watching it explode and then them crawling and then also removing their arms, to taking out the grenade launcher as Claire and launching it and seeing the effects and seeing how it feels to shoot that grenade, to, again, like examining a box and then combining two items and placing said thing in said item, unlocking a thing and then using that to, I don't know, equip your gun with a new ability. It all feels so good, so clean, so polished. It just feels really, really, really good to play. If it's not your type of game, it's not your type of game. But in terms of the gunplay, in terms of the moving around, in terms of everything, it's so fluid and so clean. And I loved it. You know, I'm not going that in depth because there's so many little aspects to talk about in terms of the gameplay, but I don't know, just everything from moving to shooting to targeting specific spots of zombies, again, to the little puzzles, even the animations to how the puzzles act, even, you know, finding two computer panel parts and then taking the box, rotating it, seeing where it tells you to press X, pressing X, see the thing come out of it. I just love it. It's like, I don't know, it's just feedback that is constantly happening throughout the game that just makes the player feel good, at least in my experience. The main gameplay is, of course, the shooting of zombies with your various weapons and your various items, and there are a whole lot. And it just feels really, really solid. Even better, in my opinion, than in Resident Evil 7, which is pretty close, because if you played Resident Evil 7 and you played Resident Evil 2, the remake, they're very close. The biggest difference, I would say, is the first-person perspective in 7 as opposed to the third-person in 2. And I know a lot of people have problems with third-person cameras. I didn't even mind it at all. In fact, I might have even liked it better than in Resident Evil 7's first-person camera. I just really dug it, and I dug pretty much everything about this game. So my final thoughts. if you are interested in the Resident Evil 2 remake whatsoever, if you have any feigning interest, well, feigning would mean you're feigning it, so you're not actually interested. But if you have any interest, if you've never played a Resident Evil game, this is a wonderful place to start. As far as I know, they're pretty much, even though they have kind of the same characters, they're pretty much all their own stories. I do know that Resident Evil 2 takes place the same time as Resident Evil 3, so when Resident Evil 3 remake comes out, you bet your butt I'm going to be playing that as well, and hopefully it's not even harder to platinum than this game was, and I'll go for the platinum. But if you have any interest whatsoever in this game, or the horror genre as a whole, or zombies, or Resident Evil, pick this one up, man. You're not going to be disappointed. And if you're thinking that the $60 price point is steep for a remake, they put so much work into this. Let me tell you what, there are so many bonus game modes. There's a free DLC that I personally didn't like, but you know, it's free, so you can't complain about it. There is so much stuff jam-packed in this gosh darn game that it is just really, 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 really good for anybody that has any interest in any of those themes that the game presents. I loved it. If I had to give it a rating, I want to give it a 10. But it's not perfect. No game is. Every game has flaws. I'm not going to give it a rating. I think that's kind of arbitrary. The game is really, really good. You're not going to be disappointed. Yeah, if you have any faith in my opinions. So I loved it. I hope you check it out. I just want to get my thoughts out there since I didn't really have anything else to talk about this Saturday. And let me know if you'd like to hear more reviews. I don't really do the review thing too often, so if this kind of came out a little you know, non-refined, that's why. But if you guys dig this, I could definitely look into doing more of these, maybe up the production value and even write out a script or something. So let me know. But that's my opinions, and that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to support me and the channel, becoming a patron over on Patreon is always a great thing, and the link is in the description and at the end of the video. And also just liking the video if you ain't got no monies. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.